Premier League manager sack race as Michael Carrick reaches surprise milestone. Michael Carrick has only been in charge of Manchester United for a matter of months, but has already outlasted a number of his rivals. The Red Devils' boss was entrusted with the reins in January, and after leading the club back into the Champions League, was handed a permanent deal. Of course, in Premier League terms, a lengthy contract does not necessarily mean that a manager will be in situ for that long. In fact, it is very rare to see a manager see out his entire deal before either being sacked or poached by another club.
Then I found Lulu Talks tea and everything shifted. Once I started drinking it, my mornings were ruined in the sense that they'd never be the same again. I began waking up feeling rested and energized, something I hadn't experienced in years. My new routine? Just 1 cup of Lulu Talks in the morning. On top of that, my menopause symptoms have eased significantly. I finally feel like myself again, strong, confident, and like a woman who's ready to take on the day.
Curious what makes it different? Scan the QR code now or visit grabdeal.us/8.
That has certainly been the case this summer, with as many as 8 Premier League clubs having opted for changes in the close season for one reason or another. The latest has been Newcastle, with Eddie Howe moving on after nearly 5 years. That now leaves Carrick as the 10th longest-serving manager in the top flight, despite having only been in charge for just 20 games. He could even move up that list throughout the season as more changes are made. So, how safe are Carrick and his Premier League rivals? Let's start with the man serving as the inspiration for this list, Carrick. The former midfielder did a stellar job at Old Trafford last season, so looks unlikely to be going anywhere anytime soon. The same could overwhelmingly be said of Arsenal's Mikel Arteta. The Spaniard ended the club's long wait for a Premier League title last term, as well as leading the Gunners into the Champions League final. It would be a huge shock to see him going anywhere. Regis, Lebris, and Unai Emery also enjoyed brilliant seasons for Sunderland and Aston Villa, respectively, the latter winning the Europa League. The pair will likely remain in situ for the forthcoming campaign. Speaking of brilliant campaigns, Frank Lampard led Coventry City to a place in the Premier League last term and was rewarded with a new contract only last month. Roberto De Zerbi should also be fine, having led Spurs to survival in his first campaign in North London and been handed the keys to the kingdom in North London. Marco Rose, Alvaro Arbeloa, Andoni Iraola, Pierre Sage, and Enzo Maresca were only appointed this summer, so should not be in any danger, in the short term at least. There are a few exceptions to that rule, however. Xabi Alonso replaced Liam Rosenior this summer, and had he taken the reins at any other club other than Chelsea, he would be safer. As it is, he's underneath an ownership that is no stranger to a managerial change. Indeed, no Chelsea manager has surpassed 100 games in charge since Antonio Conte's 2-season spell was ended in 2018. Alonso is a talented manager, but he could potentially be in danger should the Blues start the season poorly. The same could also be said of Gary O'Neill. He only arrived at Ipswich in the summer, having replaced Kieran McKenna. The former Wolves boss should be afforded patience, but should the Tractor Boys start struggling, then they could consider a change. Elsewhere, Fabian Hürzeler and Keith Andrews enjoyed brilliant seasons with Brighton and Brentford last term, the former leading the Seagulls back into Europe. But it feels that both Hürzeler and Andrews are just a bad run of form away from being put under pressure. There was a point last season when Brighton fans weren't particularly impressed with Hürzeler, before an excellent second half of the campaign. Despite there still being a few weeks to go until the season gets underway, there are some managers who might be looking over their shoulders already. Everton's David Moyes is under pressure from fans after a disappointing end to last season. Should the Toffees start the new campaign in similar fashion, the Scot could find himself close to the sack. Daniel Farke finds himself in a similar, if not identical, position. The German has had a fantastic impact at Leeds, but there have regularly been whispers about the club's ownership wanting a new man for some time, and they've never quite gone away. Farke needs a good start to 2026-27 to ensure he is kept on. The same could also be said of Sergej Jakirovic. Despite leading Hull to promotion, the Tigers are not particularly known for patience when it comes to their managers, so he might be one moved on early. And the former Crystal Palace boss Oliver Glasner finds himself in a similar position. The Austrian was only appointed by Nottingham Forest this summer, but the hot seat at the City Ground can be compared to a game of musical chairs. Just ask Ange Postecoglou and Sean Ditch. Endure a similar run of form, and Glasner could well find himself without a job before the leaves even turn brown.